Hi and welcome to Be Kids. Today we are going to be making some beautiful swallow inspired paper chains.
And in order to do that, you're going to need some paper, scissors, pencil. If you aren't working with black card, you're going to need some black child-friendly paint, a sponge and a container in which to keep the sponge in once it has the paint all over it. Today I've chosen to go with a long roll of paper in the hope that I can make it as long as I would like to make my paper chain. It's fairly cheap. You could also use liner for wallpapers and that would work just as well. You can also work for smaller sheets if you're working from A4 printer paper or coloured paper. They can work just as well. Just remember you may have to attach your paper chains at either end with some sellotape on the back just to make the chain at the length that you may like to have it. To begin, all I'm going to do is draw a very simple outline of a swallow. Now swallows are very distinctive in their shape, which is partly what makes them so easy to spot once they arrive. I'm going to start with a beak and then onto the head. Don't worry if it's a little bit rough. It's just going to be your basic shape. They have these nice swooping wings on either side that kind of arch into the body. And the tails are also very distinctive as they swoop out at the back. There we go. And make these beautiful long plush tails that you will see. There we go, I've done that very quickly and you can see it's not perfect. It's not absolutely the perfect shape, but that's okay. You don't have to be an artist to do this. And I can also put a stencil of a swallow for you in the resources below. Next, we are going to cut out our stencil shape. As you can now see, we have our stencil. This is going to be the basis of our repeated paper chain pattern. I've now cut my roll and I've managed to make sure that my roll is wide enough to fit my entire stencil onto from one width span to the other wingspan. So that's quite an important point. And when you come to folding, you'll notice that obviously your paper likes to roll. You want to make sure you are folding against the roll so that you don't have the problem of it all curling up. So you work out the length of your beautiful swallow from one end to the other. Just mark where the ends of the tail actually lie on the paper, because that's where you're going to be folding your paper. Now you may come to the end and find that you have a piece that isn't quite long enough. I would recommend that you cut that part off to ensure that they all finish. It's quite important when you are folding to try to make sure that they are as close to the size as the top one as possible, but there's always going to be a little bit of variation. This is going to be much easier to minimize with thinner paper than it is with a thicker paper, but that's just part of the fun. Next, you're going to be laying your stencil down on top and just sketching around the outside. You want to ensure that your beak is going to continue and give it a little bit of extra width. You'll see this when I take the stencil off. You're going to draw around the edges. Same with the tail. Make sure that you do not follow it to the point, but that you allow it to run off the edge of the paper. like so. And then you remove your stencil and there you have it. And you can see very clearly there where I have allowed the beak to widen so that it comes off the edge. And the same with the tail. I haven't taken them right to the points, but I've left them nice and wide. Next we come to cutting. If you have lots and lots of layers such as I have here, you may find it useful to use a mini bulldog clip or some paper clips to hold your papers in place, because once you start cutting, the papers are going to shift and move. And sometimes that can make it quite hard to make an even cut, especially if you are working with thicker paper like I am today. Sometimes when you come to the end, the tail, where the points join, they just require a little additional help to remove them. And as you can see, where I have cut around, I have still got some of the outline left there. That's okay, don't worry, you can always remove that if you need to. On the other side, we have the shapes of our beautiful swallows, and as I open them out, we have a wonderful chain full of swallows. Depending on the type of paper you used, you may then want to decorate your swallows. Now we are going to paint ours black because our swallows are mostly black, although they do have identifying marks of both red and a little bit of white on them, which helps us know that they are the swallow. But from today, I'm hoping just to paint these black, and that's what I would hope to do with my daughter. Please ensure that you have some child-friendly black paint. This is an old sponge which we've used previously. You could use an old kitchen sponge, just cut off the top where it's rough, or just buy one online. And it's very simple. You're just going to put a little bit of paint into a pot, dab the paint onto your sponge, and then sponge onto your swallow paper chain to give a nice mottled effect, a little bit like pots and grey, so it gives a bit of a spray effect, and off you go. And here you can see that lovely mottled spray effect just from using a sponge with a very light amount of paint. If you make multiple chains, you can also connect them quite simply. You would need some PVA glue or some sellotape, and all you would need to do is take 2 small dabs of glue and spread the glue a little and simply attach your 2 paper chains together and leave to dry. Here you go. Enjoy finishing off your paper chain. I look forward to seeing what extra additions you add on to yours to make it personal, and to see if you do anything different.
So I hope you enjoyed this activity today. We look forward to seeing what you've created, and please do show us. We love to see your images. You can show them in the comments below, and we look forward to seeing you another time. Take care from Ruby Kids. Bye.